Today we're leaving Bryce Canyon headed to Zion. I want to do a quick review of this campground that we stayed in the last 2 nights. So we stayed in Bryce Canyon 4 nights. We had to move our tent twice. So we stayed in 3 different campgrounds. And it was probably what kind of ruined the experience for us here in Bryce Canyon, because I don't have a very high opinion of the park at this point, mainly because of the administrative process. But you can see those other videos about what happened in our video list. So this campsite is the RV only Loop A in the North Campground, and this is Site 11. And the reason that we're here in a tent is because of them closing down the Sunset Campground without any prior notice, so they could do tree work. I mean, it was nothing like there was no exigent circumstances, right? There was no rain, there was no snow, there was no bears, there was no fire. They just decided, hey, let's just close the campground down in the middle of October, and gave no warning to those who were coming here to camp. So we were able to stay here. Now, we did have to pay the full fee. So instead of $20 a night, we paid $30 a night. But that's fine with me because this campground ended up being worth it. So there is a vault toilet, a flush toilet over there in that area. But the distance between all the campers is a lot bigger, and that alone was worth the extra $20 for a couple of nights rest, because at the last place, in the tent campsite on the North Campground, it was extremely noisy, and I did a video on that. You can check out my review. Most people here are in, like, there's a van, there's a fifth wheel, there's an RV. They're all in hard side campers and vehicles. There are a couple of other tents that they've allowed to come in and set up. You can see a tent right there. But we were the first ones. So what that means is that it's extremely quiet, because you don't hear people snoring, you don't hear people rolling around their air mattresses, making all kinds of noise. And a lot of people are not getting up and going to the restroom, walking around the campground, and that really adds to the quality of your night sleep. The roads are all paved in here, so people are not walking around crunching gravel. And then you have the same basic features. You have, picnic table, fire pit, and then just right across the way there is where you can get some potable water. So overall, this was a good campground. It was more expensive, and they probably wouldn't let you just tent camp in here under normal circumstances. But if you could sneak in here and don't mind paying an extra $10 a night, then this would be the place. This would be the better campground in Bryce Canyon. Now, we stayed 1 night in Sunset Campground, and that wasn't too bad, but it's kind of a mix in there. And we ended up staying in the RV loop there as well, because they had already closed down the tent sites. We moved to the tent sites in the North Campground, and that was horrendously noisy. The only thing that they had over there that was better than here is the bathroom actually has a heater in it over there, and it was really warm in there because it's been pretty cold here this week. But then here we are, Loop A, camping. So, we had a rough start to our Bryce Canyon experience, and so I'm a little bit biased. I wish that hadn't happened. I wish they had put out notice ahead of time that they were going to close the campground, so we could have adjusted our plans accordingly, but they didn't, and that's on them. So I definitely can't recommend Bryce Canyon in good faith, but if you're in the area, then maybe the BLM land and day trips into the park, because there's not really a whole lot to see here. We spent 4 nights here, and we probably could have done everything in 2 nights. but we were just between our reservations at Capitol Reef and Zion, so we filled up the space. We got the camping experience here in Bryce Canyon, and to be honest with you, we probably won't come back to camp here, but we would do a day trip in because we did leave one hike undone for the next time we're in the area, and so we'll just camp outside the park and then day trip in. That'll be our plan. All right, so probably 4-star experience camping here, and getting to camp in this spot and then having to go back to a tent campground is probably going to be taking a step down. But anyway, that's my review of Loop A North Campground, and that's what it looks like. That's how much space we have. Very nice.